And during the break, I wrote up a little blurb that's going to be posted on the top of the article in the next few minutes that really crystallizes what's happening. And then you can read through Matt Ryan's article and get all of the facts. In fact, they just went live with what I wrote during the break. Liberal media was already prepared for violence in Tucson. Editor's note from Alex Jones. What we have here is a clear case of self-fulfilling prophecy. The national and local media knew exactly what they were doing. They hyped to a pool of 30 million. They hyped to a pool of 300 million Americans over and over and over again that a deranged Tea Partier is going to gun down politicians. Then a highly suggestible paranoid schizophrenic acts on the hype, and the media instantly blames the Tea Party. If they continue to hype this, it will cause more deranged copycats to act. And they knew exactly what they were doing. In fact, add to that, Matt Ryan, of course, that's what they were counting on all along. After all, they're media experts. They understand psychology. After all, that's what they were planning all along. They understand how to manipulate the human mind. That's their specialty. But once you're aware of their propaganda tactics, it doesn't work anymore. Again, liberal media was already prepared for violence in Tucson. Editor's note from Alex Jones. What we have here is a clear case of a self-fulfilling prophecy. And this was done premeditatedly. They knew exactly what they were doing. The national and local media knew exactly what they were doing. They hyped to a pool of more, the census now says we're 310 million Americans, over and over and over again, that a deranged Tea Partier was going to gun politicians down. Then, a highly suggestible paranoid schizophrenic act on the hype, and the media instantly blames the Tea Party. If they continue to hype this, it will cause more deranged copycats to act. Now, how do we know this? If you go back to pre-1990 suicide numbers in high schools and junior highs, it was much, much, much lower. You can pull up the national news stories on this in the graphs. But everybody knows they hype the fact that suicide's way up, and it just gets worse and worse every year. It never gets better. And the more they hype that it's a problem, and the more they have meetings, and the more they have parents come to the auditorium and meet with their 11 and 12-year-old daughters and sons, and the more they have workshops about don't hang yourself with your shoelaces like this, don't take all the pills in the cupboard, the more children that would be thinking about playing in the creek or playing football or playing Barbie, the more these little innocent children who would never think about suicide, who would never think about such things, they're taught, don't do this. In fact, I mean, you see this all the time in places like New York and Chicago. The police, whenever they do have a jumper, climb up over the barricades that they have to stop them and jump off of the Empire State Building or the World Trade Centers before they were gone, or the Sears Tower, that always, right after somebody does jump, suddenly other people show up within hours or days and try. So they station cops right there to stop people. I mean, this is basic psychology. They know exactly what they're doing. Think about it. And it's the same thing here. Now we know from all of his friends that he was extremely suicidal, that he was completely paranoid and thought all his friends were out to get him. He was a complete schizophrenic. He thought he was being mind controlled. Maybe he was. I don't know. The point is he was nuts. Whether he was bent that way or whether it just happened because of genetics or upbringing or chemicals, who knows? And now we learn on local news over and over and over again, they would interview Representative Congresswoman Giffords over and over and over again and say, are you worried about the crosshairs? Are you worried about the Sarah Palin people? Are you worried they're going to kill you? Are you worried? Are you worried they're coming? And they had other national news constantly. Look at these gun rallies where they're openly carrying. They're going to kill some politicians. Look, they're spitting on the black members of Congress. There's going to be violence. You mark my words, they're going to blow people away. You watch it. You've got all these conservative people that love the Second Amendment so much, even if they wanted to, they'd never use a gun to kill somebody unless it was in self-defense, because they don't want you to be able to demonize the Second Amendment. They're out there openly carrying their guns because they're tired of getting SWAT teamed when the carpet cleaner sees a gun case in their house and thinks guns are illegal even in your own home. They're openly exercising the Second Amendment to regain it. Because even though we have these rights, a lot of people live in la-la land and believe every place in the U.S. is based in New York City from all these TV shows, and that you go to jail if you have a gun. And so they hyped this and hyped it and hyped it, and there he was, already obsessed with her. Already 3 years ago, when he was described as a complete, liberal by all his friends, he was already obsessed with her. And then you had all these publications, Daily Kos and others, say, she's dead to me. She's a sellout. She's a problem. She needs to be dealt with. And you add all of this together, here comes the nutcase. And now they're hyping it again. Now they're pushing it. And they're pushing that more of this is going to happen. And so more suicidal people, instead of going and waving a gun around in public, waiting for cops to come shoot them because they don't have the nerve to pull the trigger on themselves, it gives them the idea, no, you don't commit suicide yourself. You don't just have cops do it for you, suicide by cop. You go and you shoot people. In fact, you don't just go shoot people at a McDonald's or at a shopping mall, because that gets you a lot of attention, which you also crave when you die, because nobody ever gave you any attention because you were so creepy. You could never get a girlfriend or get a date, so you're completely upset with yourself. No. Now the media says you go to an event and you kill people. Isn't that just special? And it's the same situation with the suicide education they've had since 1990 with federal grants nationwide. Everywhere they have it. They've even got comparisons. We've had sociologists and folks on to break this down. They'll have counties and regions where they don't have suicide education, and they'll have much lower levels. But then the counties where they do have much higher levels. And now you turn on Nickelodeon. I can't even let my kids watch television. It's all about don't commit suicide. Here's how you do it. Or you turn on MTV. Abortion's so cool. Next, kids that commit suicide. And then they have other TV ads for kids showing kids being murdered who don't accept the carbon taxes. They know exactly what they're doing. They're selling a culture of death where you hate yourself, where you're nihilistic, where you won't stand up for yourself. And they know exactly what they're doing. This article is very important. Liberal media was already prepared for violence in Tucson. They knew this was the guy who was after her, we're now learning. They were waiting. They were watching. They understood the different ingredients they were adding into this pot, and within minutes, they blamed their enemy, people that don't want a private Federal Reserve. Did you notice the talking points, whether it was Democracy Now! Or MSNBC or CNN? They're people who don't like the Federal Reserve and believe in a conspiracy that it's private, and a conspiracy that we should have actual gold or silver backing up our currency. It's not a conspiracy, it's in the Constitution. It's not a conspiracy, it's how the country was founded. It's not a conspiracy, it's what we had up until Nixon got us off of it. But they don't care. No, they could care less, ladies and gentlemen. They could care less. They know exactly what they're doing. They're out there saying, hey, there's crazy conspiracy theorists that don't like the Federal Reserve. It's their fault this happened. Now, that's showing you who the political power structure's enemy is. People who recognize who the shadow government is. But you guys can read your own Gallup poll. I mean, surely you know, depending on the poll, it's 75 to 85 or even higher that want to abolish the Fed and know it's the problem. I mean, game over. Stage all the shootings you want. Go, globalist. I hope you don't kill more little girls, either through mind control through the television or actual physical mind control, but you're going to do what you're going to do. We're going to be here exposing you. And, of course, you've also raised your ugly head and let us know who your other big enemy is. And that's the First Amendment. What do you want? You want our free speech, you want our guns, and you, most importantly in all the talking points, want us to shut up about that Federal Reserve who's butchering our economy and who's stolen tens of trillions and won't tell Congress where the money went. And Ron Paul's now the head of the committee over the Federal Reserve. You're panicking. A federal judge just ordered the private Federal Reserve to release its secret documents on gold manipulation. That's in the news today. You're really scared right now. And so you hyped up on television every day, day in and day out in the last 2 years, that people were going to get shot at these rallies. And finally, a schizophrenic devil worshiper who dressed up like a girl in his off time now has done what you want. But, oh, that's backfired. The family of the little girl came out and said, don't use her death to destroy freedom. So you're now attacking them, saying they don't deserve to have kids. You're showing how slimy you are, because you're not really bleeding heart liberals. You're cold-blooded social engineer crooks. Now, I said I'd take your calls. I'm on a roll today. I'm sorry, but Julio, Jonathan, Chuck, Ed, Ronaldo. In fact, Ronaldo in Italy. You're next. I promise. When we come back from this break, we're going to you. Right there. And then we're going to have David Icke pop in for 30 minutes, and I will continue throughout the entire third hour with calls.
Is it really possible to get out of debt without payment plans or attorneys? 18 years ago, we developed a program that has made thousands debt-free in just 90 days. It's called Zero Debt in 90 Days, and it works for all credit card debt, medical bills, even collection lawsuits.
When I first joined, I was being sued. So I used the program methods, and after filing one piece of paper, the collection lawsuit was dismissed.
With Zero Debt in 90 days, your success is guaranteed in writing. There is no other program of its kind. Don't be alone when creditors gang up on you. Let our team of experts provide the resources to fight back and stop creditors in only 90 days, guaranteed. Prevent wage garnishments, bank levies, and stop collection calls with our proven program. Call Zero Debt in 90 days now, 800-477-9256, and ask for free information from an expert who also completed our program. 800-477-9256 or ZeroDebtGuaranteed.com. 800-477-9256 or ZeroDebtGuaranteed.com.
They helped to create a new world order.
We are part of a new world order.
A new world order based upon collective action.
Invisible Empire is a damning indictment of the globalists through their own words and documents.
The new world order really is a tool for addressing a new world of possibilities.
It means all the world under their control.
The United Nations would take over America. The Trilateral Commission would control the world.
Invisible Empire chronicles how men of power and influence have worked in stealth for centuries to establish an oppressive world government.
I believe, first of all, that we now need nothing short of a world constitution for the global financial system.
Global governance with the establishment of the G20.
So it's going to be an inner ruling elite and then everyone else. And I got news for you. You're everyone else.
Invisible Empire. Secure your copy today at Infowars.com or PrisonPlanet.com, or watch it online in the highest quality at PrisonPlanet.tv.
Making the right decisions is a challenge to investors. Are we going to see economic growth, slide into a recession, or at worst, depression? Hi, Ted Anderson from Midas Resources. We all know when a company acts irresponsibly, divesting ourselves in a move towards safety is prudent. When the market becomes volatile, U.S. Treasuries are a safe haven. But what do you do when the U.S. government overextends itself and spends beyond its means? Many investors are turning toward gold as a common-sense alternative to traditional paper investments. Midas Resources has put together a powerful book titled 10 Reasons to Own Gold, discussing costs, benefits, risks, featuring full-color illustrations, weights, and measures. The book is free and can be yours by calling 800-686-2237. Paper investments are dwarfed by gold's 6,000-year history. Discover how gold may be right for you and your IRA by calling 800-686-2237.